My friend Dee is, as far as I'm concerned, an excellent writer. We both loved reading and writing since we were kids, but she has geared her life towards writing. While it is not her profession, it is definitely her passion. She has a relevant master's, has taken several classes, participated in several workshops, etc. She has produced a great amount of writings of various sizes and genres. She has written at least 4 complete books, paid for professional editors, proofreaders, etc. I can honestly say I have loved reading everything she has ever sent me to read. Not only me, but all of our friends are huge supporters of hers and know she will make it big one day. On the other hand, my approach to writing is barely an approach. I attended the first of 8 workshops with her, have written maybe 10 things in my life, and while I enjoy it, it is neither a passion nor a hobby for me. Partly because I don't have time. Dee has been incredibly supportive of me as well, always encouraged me to share my one complete book. On a very theoretical level, Fantasyland, I would love to be a world-famous, inspirational, influential author who doesn't. But this has never been my dream. It is hers, and I truly believe she can do it. I already have a career I love and am successful in, so this is just not something I have ever really seriously considered. While she had some success with her stories being published in some sites and anthologies, she has not managed to get a book deal with a publishing house. During her last wave of her sending her book out, she strongly encouraged me to send mine as well. That is, do it. Do it, please, for me, so we can share the agony of waiting to hear back together. I didn't really mind, but I didn't want to spread too wide a net, so I chose one really big publishing house and sent my one book. Within 5 weeks, they responded and offered me a book deal. In the world of publishing, that is record speed. It even mentions clauses for any other works I may want to publish. She has been denied from, if not all, most of the ones she reached out to, including the one I sent mine to. I have not told her. That was almost a month ago, and I am running out of time to sign the contract. I don't know how to tell her. I am incredibly hurt for her. I feel guilty. It all feels so unfair to me. In my humble opinion, I am in no way, shape, or form as good a writer as she is. So I suspect it was the genre theme that got me through instead of her. I don't know what it was, and I don't know how to proceed. I know she will try to be happy for me, but I also fear it will destroy her, and I fear our friendship. I don't know what to do. How do I break it to her? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Sign the contract. When you tell her the news, consider doing it in writing. This is just my own personal preference. But if I was your friend, receiving this news that will bring up complicated emotions, I would really appreciate the space to be able to work out those emotions alone, with privacy. What I would do is to invite your friend to hang out or do something for the near future. Then, I'd let her know that I have some news I just received and want to share. Tell her that you heard back from big publishing house, and that they've picked up your book, and thank her for her encouragement and support. Comment 2. I don't know what the motivation would be to lie about this, but you don't submit manuscripts to publishing houses. That's your agent's job. I don't preclude the possibility that I might not know something, but I'm not aware of any really big publishing houses that accept unsolicited submissions. My understanding is you need a WGA signatory agent to submit on your behalf. If I'm wrong. OP. Do tell who is accepting unsolicited submissions, LOL. Inquiring minds want to know. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the latest. So, the past 3 months have been interesting to say the least, and not the fun kind. Remember how I got that book deal? Well, things got even more complicated. Just a week after my last update, I got a call from the publisher. They were pushing me to sign the contract, but they also dropped the news they wanted to market my book as the debut novel of a promising new author in a big promotional push. The catch? They wanted me to start working on a sequel immediately. The pressure was on, and I felt like I was in way over my head. Meanwhile, Dee was still in the dark about my deal. She was busy with her own writing, pouring her heart into a new project she hoped would be her breakthrough. I watched her struggle, putting in long hours, her optimism never wavering. It made my stomach churn with guilt. Then, 2 weeks ago, something happened that made everything 1,000 times worse. Dee's laptop crashed. She lost everything, her latest manuscript. Years of work, all gone. She was devastated. I spent nights at her place, trying to help her recover the files, but it was no use. She was back to square one. I couldn't take it anymore. The secret was eating me alive. So I decided to tell her about the book deal. I invited her over for coffee, my hands shaking as I prepared to drop the news. But before I could say anything, she started talking about her lost manuscript. She said it was a sign that maybe writing wasn't her path, that maybe she should give up. My heart broke for her. I couldn't tell her then. It felt like kicking her when she was down. So I lied. I told her that the publisher had rejected my book too. I hated lying, but I couldn't add to her pain. She hugged me, relieved that she wasn't alone in rejection. It was a bittersweet moment. The lie changed things, though. Dee started looking for other jobs, thinking about life beyond writing. She even got an interview for a marketing position. I was proud of her for trying to move on, but I also felt like I was watching her give up on her dream. Last week, the publisher gave me an ultimatum. Sign the contract or they'd move on to another author. I was torn. I wanted to support Dee, but this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I made a choice. I signed the contract. The day after I signed, Dee got the marketing job. She was excited, a new spark in her eyes. It was a good job, but I knew it wasn't her passion. I felt a mix of emotions, happiness for her new beginning, but also a deep sense of loss for what could have been. Yesterday, the publisher announced my book deal publicly. It was all over social media, and it didn't take long for Dee to find out. She called me, her voice a mix of shock and hurt. I braced myself for her anger for the end of our friendship, but it didn't come. Instead, she said she was happy for me. She admitted it stung, but she also said that maybe this was the push she needed to find a new direction in life. She thanked me for being there for her during her lowest point and said she was looking forward to reading my book. I was relieved, but I also felt a deep sense of shame for not having the courage to tell her sooner. I promised myself to make it up to her, to be there for her like she's always been there for me. So that's where things stand. I'm an author with a book deal, and Dee's starting a new chapter in her life. It's not the outcome I expected 3 months ago, but it's where we are. And somehow, despite everything, our friendship has survived. Thanks for reading. My husband falls for his student and lies about us being separated. So I expose his affair to the entire university and watch his reputation crumble. My husband, 36-year-old male, and I, 35-year-old female, have been married for 7 years. He teaches English literature at a university and has been doing so for a few years now. 4 weeks ago, he sat me down and took my hands. I immediately got scared by the look on his face and asked nervously what was wrong. He explained to me that he was resigning from his job, and when I asked why, he told me it was because he had developed intense feelings for one of his students, a 19-year-old. I felt like someone had knocked all the air out of me because I just sat staring at him for what felt like ages. After that, there were things I needed to know. My main question was whether he had ever acted on his intense feelings and put this girl in danger. He was quick to defend himself and told me nothing like that ever happened, and everything he ever felt had never been acted on. He said that was why he felt he had to leave his job. He apologized to me over and over, but all I could do was sit in silence, staring into space. I was far too numb to even process my own feelings or communicate them to him. But I pretty much knew in that moment I needed space, and that our marriage was over. We have a second home on the outskirts of the city, which is where I went and have been staying ever since. We have spoken a bit over the phone, and I expressed wanting a divorce. While upset, my husband agreed and apologized to me for what he had done to us. And since then, we have not spoken. My husband told his parents about the situation, who in turn told mine. And now everyone seems to have the full picture and are all giving their opinions. Most people side with me in my decision to pursue divorce proceedings and have given amazing support, but some feel I'm being unfair. Their argument is that by leaving his job, my husband is trying to do the right thing, and he didn't pursue anything with the girl, which we only have his word on. However, they are a vocal minority, and their opinions don't hold weight with me. I also spoke at length with the head of the university almost immediately after I found out. It turns out my husband confessed his reasons for leaving his job, and they are in the process of conducting their own investigation. I just want the best for the girl involved. I already have a lawyer, and I engaged with them to initiate some legal proceedings. I plan on going through my lawyer for all the stuff involving contact with my husband, because right now I feel sick, even seeing him. While at my therapist, I expressed my need for closure and more answers. Because I had felt so numb, I couldn't ask many questions and still felt in the dark. She agreed it might be a good idea to speak with him, even if it's over the phone, to get that closure. So that's where I am right now. We're getting divorced, and for now, I'm okay with not seeing him in person. However, I do have a burning need to ask more questions, such as how long he had felt that way towards a student, and how deep those emotions had been. Not only that, but to express how I feel now, some of the shock has worn off. Do you guys think that would be a good idea? Or should I move on without pursuing these things? My mother in particular feels I'd only be setting myself up for more hurt if I did that, and I'm torn. Thanks all. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. OP. English professor jobs are not easy to get. There are way more people looking for those jobs than there are jobs available. For him to quit that job means they had something on him. He resigned in order to keep from being fired in hopes that he can get another job eventually. He is trickle-truthing you. He's not telling you the whole truth. Comment 2. I doubt your soon-to-be ex-husband is telling you the full truth. Older men who creep on teenage girls aren't as slick as they think they are. Chances are he made the student uncomfortable in some way, so he's resigning to get ahead of the fallout. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around. So, a lot has happened in the past 2 weeks. Turns out my husband wasn't as innocent as he claimed. The university's investigation revealed he'd been seen around campus with the student more than a few times. And it wasn't just in a classroom setting. They were spotted at a coffee shop, laughing and looking a bit too cozy. When I heard about it, I felt like I was punched in the gut all over again. I couldn't believe he'd lied straight to my face. I was angry, sure, but more than that, I was embarrassed. Here I was, thinking I was overreacting, and the whole time he was making a fool out of me. My friends and family were livid on my behalf. My sister, who's always been the protective type, wanted to confront him, but I told her it wasn't worth it. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of seeing how much he'd hurt me. In the midst of all this, my lawyer called with some unexpected news. My husband had transferred a significant amount of money from our joint account to an account only he could access. It was a move I never saw coming. I guess I didn't really know him at all. My lawyer said we could fight it, that it was a clear attempt to hide assets before the divorce. I agreed I wasn't going to let him get away with it. But then, just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, they did. The student reached out to me. She was scared and confused, said she had no idea he was married and that he'd told her he was separated. She apologized over and over, and I could hear the sincerity in her voice. I didn't know what to feel. I was mad, sure, but not at her. She was just another one of his victims. I told her she didn't have to apologize to me, that it wasn't her fault. She thanked me and said she was dropping his class and considering transferring schools. I felt for her. She was just a kid, caught up in my husband's mess. After that call, I knew I had to cut him off completely. No more phone calls, no more trying to get answers. It was clear I'd never get the truth from him. I told my lawyer to handle everything and that I didn't want to speak to my husband unless absolutely necessary. And then, as if on cue, my husband tried to reach out. He sent texts, emails, even left voicemails, crying and begging for forgiveness. But I was done. I blocked his number, his email, everything. I couldn't let him drag me down any further. The last straw was when I found out he'd been bad-mouthing me to our mutual friends, trying to play the victim in all this, saying I was overreacting and that I was the one destroying our marriage. That's when I knew I'd made the right decision. I didn't need that kind of negativity in my life. So here I am 2 weeks later, feeling a bit stronger every day. The divorce is moving forward, and I'm starting to think about the future. It's not going to be easy, but I know I'll get through it. I've got a great support system, and I'm learning to trust myself again. Thanks for reading. My racist grandmother cut my cousin out of the will for being biracial. So I found her apology letter, but when he tore it up, I let him sue and watched the family implode. Hello? My grandmother passed away a year ago and left us all a chunk of money. 7 cousins total got like $45,000 each from her will. My cousin Matt didn't get any. I didn't know about this at all. I just knew what I got, and other cousins confirmed the amount. Matt and my grandmother were very close, and we figured he would get her house as he was helping her a lot at the end of her life, and he was the only one still living at home with my aunt. But he wasn't given anything, and sadly the reason for that was that Matt is biracial, while me and the other 6 are not. Nearing the end of her life, he told me that sometimes felt like he wasn't a grandson, but hired help only. My grandma used to make some messed up comments about his skin color and how she didn't really like his mother because she felt like she trapped her son. But she always said she loved Matt dearly. Anyway, we kind of found out a couple of months after my grandma passed that we were getting some money, and we were talking about it at a family get-together. We have had these almost every 2 weeks since we were kids at my Gram's house. We'd all just chill in the basement playing ping pong or whatever and just chill. During the hangout, Matt found out he didn't get any, to which we were shocked. We decided to just split that evenly in 8 ways, like we would all chip in like $5,500 each and give it to him, as it's rightfully his. He didn't like that idea. He told us all to FK off and keep our charity to ourselves. He just stopped talking to us and stopped showing up to family gatherings. We all stopped as well since he was kind of the glue, and we all felt guilty as he was left out of the will. He hasn't spoken to us in over 6 months, and I don't know what to do. I know he's hurt, but how do we approach him about this? He's also one of my closest friends, and I just miss him. My mom said to give him some space, but how much longer? His mom reached out to me asking me to talk to him because he refuses to go out anymore, and that he might have lost his job. Any tips on how to approach him? Edit to add. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of responses on how we didn't make any attempts to give him money. We did. 1. I gave a personal check to him. He told me to FK off. In retrospect, that was a bad idea and insulting to him. 2. We set aside in an account and wanted to give it to his mom. She declined and told us she doesn't want to deal with it. 3. Went to the bank to create an account, but was told that he'd have to be a signatory on it. 4. You possibly will just leave it in an account or create a trust, and he can have it when he's ready. My larger issue/reason for this post is, how can we approach him? I think he's deeply hurt, won't talk to us or his friends, and his mom is worried that he's become a shut-in and may have lost his job. I want to stop his possible spiraling. I think I'm just ranting because time is the only solution, I guess. Edit #2. All right, I got some great advice and we'll go to his house tonight to talk to him, as he agreed to meet for a bit. But I'm also done replying because I'm getting a lot of DMs and posts here accusing me of ignoring the discrimination or enabling this behavior or that. I never stood up to him. None of these are true. We're all devastated at how he's taking a turn for the worse, and y'all are happily jumping on me saying that it's a glorified pity party that we're throwing ourselves. The same people preaching about nuance are the ones not exercising it here. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think you need to acknowledge how terrible your grandma was towards him and tell him that you don't feel the same way as her and that he's your brother or cousin. Remind him that the money isn't charity. You all are giving it to him because even though your grandma treated him poorly and excluded him, you and your cousins refused to do the same. He's not avoiding you. He's avoiding the pain, and it's understandable. Comment 2. All you can do besides offering some money is tell him he's family, and he always will be. I'm wondering if he was only helping to be accepted, and it shows him he was never accepted by her. Now for the update. Hello, thanks for sticking around. So, a lot has happened since the last post. The night I went to see Matt, it was like walking into a storm. His place was a mess. and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. I tried to talk to him, but he was just so angry. He said he found out that our aunt had been influencing Grandma's decisions, feeding her those awful ideas about race. That's why he was left out of the will. It made sense, but it was like a punch in the gut. I told him about the trust we wanted to set up, but he lost it. Said we were all just trying to ease our guilt. He didn't want our money. He wanted our grandmother to have treated him like family. I left feeling helpless, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we needed to do something more. A few days later, I heard from my sister that Matt's mom had a heart attack. Stress, they said. Matt was at the hospital day and night, and it seemed like he might lose her too. I went to see her and she was so frail. She told me Matt was planning to sue our aunt for manipulating Grandma. It was a mess. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to support Matt, but another part of me was scared of what that would do to our family. I talked to the other cousins, and they were all over the place. Some wanted to back Matt up, others were worried about dragging the family name through the mud. Then, the news dropped. My sister found a letter from Grandma, one she'd written but never sent. It was to Matt, apologizing for how she'd treated him, saying she'd been wrong. She wanted to make it right, but she never got the chance. We had a family meeting without Matt. I brought the letter. It was tense, everyone arguing about what to do. In the end, we decided to give the letter to Matt, hoping it would give him some peace. But I was the one who had to do it. I went to Matt's place again, letter in hand. He read it, and for a moment, I thought it would be okay. But then he tore it up, said it was too little, too late. He was going through with the lawsuit. I was torn. I knew Matt was hurting, but I also knew this could tear our family apart. In the end, I made a choice. I told Matt I couldn't support him in the lawsuit. I thought I was protecting our family, keeping us together. But I could see in his eyes that I'd just lost my cousin, my friend. The next day, Matt's mom passed away. The lawsuit went forward, and it was ugly. Secrets spilled out, and the family was splintered. I thought I was doing the right thing, but now I'm not so sure. I just wanted to keep us together, but instead, I pushed one of us away for good. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.